President Trump decided to make the crypto industry a priority for his administration. When the policy changed, like suddenly crypto became an absolute priority.
Unicoin positions itself as asset-backed.
We took a very creative approach to raising. Instead of like raising just money, fiat, we allow people that have properties, real estate assets, to invest using their assets.
What was your main advice, if you had the opportunity to give one main advice to those women who are doubting about their role in finance or who want to take control of their finance?
They need to believe in themselves, their capabilities, and give themselves the chance to prove the world and to actually prove themselves what they inside of them have is the power to make change, the power to lead, and the power to make money as a sport and don't cry and actually build wealth.
Hi, I'm Dr. Lorena Nessi for CCN. I'm joined today by Silvina Moschini, founder of Unicoin. We will discuss Unicoin's asset-backed claims, trust and credibility in crypto, regulation, and the role of women and entrepreneurship in this space. Hello, hola Silvina, un gusto. It's so nice to have you here at CCN.
Well, Lorena, delighted to be here with you.
Great. Let's start with the beginning. So I'm going to go into your past, probably, your deep past with your father. Your father's advice about building your own castle shaped by your identity as a princess entrepreneur, right? What is one of the lessons from that mindset that still guides you during moments like regulatory pressure or other kinds of pressure?
Well, Lorena, that's a very nice memory for me. It's something that shaped my life, and it left me thinking when my father told me that the key thing for freedom and independence is to actually have financial independence. So it's the power of money. And when it comes to real life learnings, it's also taught me to not only to take responsibility for my own future, but to actually think that I have to build it. And to build it means that when things get rough, we get stronger and we stand for what we believe and we fight. So it was just a statement for me on the importance of believing on yourself, believing in doing the right thing, and taking full responsibility for making things happen.
That's a nice answer. So going to the mistakes. What mistakes do you think you've made along the way that in hindsight you wish you had done differently? And what would you advise other crypto companies to avoid ending up in a situation, like Unicoin is now?
Well, from the personal side, as an entrepreneur, I made many mistakes. I think the most important mistake that I made was not to believe enough in, as a woman, the capabilities that I bring to the table when I started. But I fixed that. I surrounded myself with amazing men and women that supported me and made me believe that I could do things that can transform the industries. And this is what we were trying to do with Unicoin. Regarding your question on what mistake we made, I don't know if it was a mistake. I think we were a little bit naive because we wanted to do a type of crypto that didn't exist at that time in the United States, in an environment where crypto was seen as something very dirty, very scary, from anonymous people hiding transactions anonymously. We wanted to build a company that was fully transparent. So instead of shopping for legislation and jurisdictions outside the United States, we decided to build from the United States as a public reporting company, spending a lot of money in audited financials, bringing an internal team with a security attorney leading our compliance and legal team. And we thought honestly that what was happening in the US is not that they didn't want dirty crypto, anonymous crypto that was avoiding regulation. They didn't want crypto at all. So we were a little bit naive. We followed the rules. We did the audit. We were like operating in the open. And by the time that we announced the ICO, we launched a massive campaign, and then we have like an army of SEC agents trying to shoot us down because they didn't want a company that will set a new standard on how crypto was done to exist, because that will mean that they will lose the war on crypto. So I think naivety will be like thinking that, the good deeds always lead to good actions from the others. It doesn't always happen. But I'd rather be naive than to, be scared and not do anything, because I think that some people will not like it. I learned as well that I am not scared. I am brave. I'm Latin American. I'm a woman, so I'm not scared of big agencies or people that don't want to do things as they should, because the ones that I believe are wrong are theirs, them, not us.
Great. And there seems to be, you have spoken about this recent moment in the development of this case that seems to be a turning point for Unicoin. So what actually happened step by step, and why does it matter internally rather than just symbolically for the crypto space and for Unicoin?
Thanks, Lorena. That's a great question. And there have been like zillions of things happening in the crypto space. We were targeted by the SEC as the last stand of Gensler war on crypto. Like we sort of got like in between a fight between President Trump that said that he will fire Gensler in his first day at work, and Gensler saying that he will continue to harm the industry beyond his term, and publicly saying that he promoted people to continue with his legacy of an attempt to destroy the industry. What it changed is that President Trump decided to make the crypto industry a priority for his administration, and to turn the U.S. from a destination or a country that was like way behind the rest of the world in innovation, that was losing many, many entrepreneurs that were moving to Dubai, to Singapore, to Cayman, to other jurisdictions, to want to come back and stay in the U.S. Because, like we all came as immigrants to the U.S. thinking that this was best country in the world to innovate. Silicon Valley, other industries, has been like the de facto birthplace for in the United States, like for example Hollywood. So that was something that he changed, and when the policy changed, like suddenly crypto became an absolute priority. Regulation follows with the Genius Act. The environment completely changed for stable coins. And now with the market restructuring, the declarations of Chair Atkins include the fact that no companies will be considered issuing a security if they don't promise managerial effort. For us, it's super important because, we stand strong for our investors over 1 year and almost a half, despite the choke point and attacks that we have been through in Gensler's attempt to destroy our company, and with the support of pretty much the huge majority of our investors who unanimously voted to continue with the path of Unicoin as a foundation. We are decentralizing the company. We already selected a group of our investors, shareholders. Not we selected, they selected, like all of us as a community selected the people that will be the directors, and we are moving forward to that also with a lot of determination to build the brand that we were in the past to build, a massive, very valuable brand, but also with the opportunity to do more good, because through the foundation we will be able to do a lot of impact programs, including programs for women. We want women in crypto, and we want women taking control of their money. long overdue as well, but also to promote entrepreneurship in the space. So we are building to be bigger and stronger and more determined than ever to succeed.
Brilliant. Unicoin positions itself as asset-backed. So can you explain in plain English, simple terms, what gives the Unicorn token value independent of future marketing or new investors?
When we launched Unicoin concept in the US, our positioning was we have asset backs and we are a public reporting company and also a company that was audited. And when we said asset back, we apply the exact terms of the concept asset backs. For us, it's like we have assets that are and going to be, some of them were already in the company balance sheet, some others were under contract in escrow to be moving to the company, to tapped into if we have the need to resource to us to expand the company, to buy advertising, to do marketing, because we took a very creative approach to raising. Instead of like raising just money, fiat, we allow people that have properties, real estate assets, to invest using their assets. So for us, it was just basically, we have a runaway that can, depending on the asset that we bring into our company, be backing, be supporting. Asset back is supported by assets. That means that instead of money, we have a lot of assets that were under contracts to help us to expand, to grow, to build brand, and to create a huge community for our company. The SEC chose to just like give like a very strange interpretation that asset back means collateralized, which was not what we meant or what we implied and what our investors understood.
Okay, so why should the public, you think, trust Unicoin's disclosures more than the CEC's interpretation of them?
Well, because the SEC has been questioned by by everyone in the industry. SEC sued pretty much anyone that was someone in the crypto industry. They had been sued by 19 states, and one of their offices were closed for abuse of power. So they have their agenda. Their agenda was to exterminate an industry that represents a massive threat for other industry. The other industry is the traditional banking industry. And Lorena, I come from the first internet age when, you remember the .com area. I was part of the leadership team of Patagon.com, which was perhaps the most successful startup in fintech, the online bank from Latin America that was sold in almost $800 million to Banco Santander in 2000. At that time, the situation was quite similar. Traditional banks wanted to exterminate online banks because they were taking a big chunk of their market. They couldn't, they have to transform themselves. And the same thing is happening right now with the crypto industry trying to fight the attacks of more traditional industries that were trying to avoid innovation. And similar happened to Uber with the taxi unions burning cars and things of the kind. Is a typical reaction to progress. And I believe that people can see that if someone with a reputation in the market like the ones that we have, like personally, I have been an advocate for women, for economic development, for entrepreneurship for many, many years. And my partner was one of the most successful entrepreneurs in Russia and fought corruption in the past and won like 5 lawsuits against the federal governments. And the allegations are absurd. Like there is not a single allegation of misappropriation of funds. The statements on the value of the properties are clearly available and they were independently done. And I don't even think that the SEC really wanted to take a case. They just wanted to delay us and try to make us die by cutting the oxygen, because their allegations are absurd and they're going to completely lose them in court, but they cause a lot of damage. Like we could have been a company perhaps like worth over $19 billion with the $3 billion that we have under contract that were scheduled to be moving to our balance sheet. So yes, it's sad, it's upsetting. It was painful for me at a personal level. I didn't expect this to happen in the United States. I kept the United States to a higher standard in terms of justice and transparency, but c'est la vie, like we live and learn.
So, Silvina, let's say the court just decides against Unicoin. Who personally takes responsibility in that case?
Well, I don't think that this is even a remote possibility. We are filing for a motion to dismiss with arguments that, according to pretty much anyone that we have talked, including legislators, including some regulators and attorneys of very high profile, the allegations are completely absurd. So and as I say, like, I don't even think that they were trying to take us to court. They tried to settle, but we didn't want it to settle because we are convinced that we didn't do anything wrong and our investors are on our side. So I don't think this is a possibility. So I cannot even picture this happening.
So are there any specific protections that exist today for retail token holders if Unicoin failed or pivots in a theoretical scenario?
If things happen as the SEC intended to, the company lost all the shareholders' value. My value as a shareholder and all my investors as value as shareholders. What we refuse is to let them kill us. So we fought to stay alive, to find creative ways to continue fighting this fight that could end up being a very long and expensive fight. Like if you look at XRP and Ripple, you will see that XRP spent like $150 million fighting the SEC and over 5 years. So it's painful, and the government has unlimited resources because it's not a company. So what could have happened that we didn't allow this to happen thanks to also the support of our investors was to shut down the company. We could have called it a day and say like, well, this is a challenge that there is no way anyone with the company size that we have, that was and still is, even a smaller company, could have fight. But we did. So our investors are now very supportive and also very, very excited with by the fact that we came back practically from death, that we were like stress tested to the degree that no other company have been. Like we went through hell and we came back stronger with the support of the people that make all of this possible. The people that the SEC try to portray as the fraud are the ones that are actually backing us and fighting with us to make a Unicoin a case study and a legend for fighting and standing against the Goliath as a David for the English speaking, and actually like very, very confident that we will win. And there's some beauty on that. There's a silver lining on all of this. Like what doesn't kill you make you stronger. So that's also a good experience to learn. And I'm grateful for the opportunity to be continuing with this fight and with the opportunity to launch our foundation in the next few weeks as a result of this.
Well, that's a very optimistic point of view, very strong as well, I would say. So there is something at which Unicoin has proven to be very good, and that's marketing. It is amazing how nice it's been promoted in a world or in a space in which we know that hype is very important. So do you think any of Unicoin's marketing blurred the line between optimism or overpromise?
No, promise is a promise. It's like a straightforward, I promise you will deliver that. And someone that is like a little silly or stupid will only do that because, as you know, like when you invest, there is a risk of losing everything. We always say it, and if you see me in interviews and in speaking engagement, when they ask me like, what will be the best advice and to someone that is investing, my answer is like, I'll tell him or her that they should not invest anything that they are not ready to lose. That doesn't mean that there are not great opportunities with investing. And actually there are, but people need to be responsible on to what is a risk tolerance. Like if you invest in highly volatile stocks or crypto, like let's say like meme coins, you are like, playing a Russian roulette. And if you go to Vegas and you play on the roulette, you know that the chances that you will be winning are like very slim and that you will lose. So people get into investing in general because they know what they are doing. And when we talk about, and we do marketing and we talk about the opportunities in the market, we are actually presenting cases and situations in which these opportunities are real. Like we talk about, like, for example, Bitcoin presenting a return that was astronomical, like the pizza case. Like people bought two pizzas with one Bitcoin, and this ended up being like almost like $800,000. This is real. Like, if you said like a company of these characteristics with this business model in this environment can achieve these results, the answer is yes. The promise is never there because it's illegal. And we focus on getting a company that it was fully transparent and that it was like very, very compliant with the securities law. We passed 2 full year investigations. So we, of course, you're trying to sell something and educate the market about opportunities. You will not say like, you will lose, don't invest. You'll say like, these are the opportunities, these are the risks, these are the facts, educate yourself. And especially, Lorena, in the United States, where the SEC operates, we only sold to accredited investors. For people that do not understand what an accredited investor is people that has over $1 million in assets without including their house, or make over $300,000 per year. This is not people that don't know what money means and what risk is. These are highly prepared, educated, and savvy people in general. So this is also one of the absurd things that it happened in here. And I'm very proud of the marketing and the communications that we did. This is something that I personally was very involved. I'm a communications person, and I understand that communicating properly and communicating clearly brings opportunity to people, but also help them to understand if something is for them or not. So we've been very, very clear and assertive on this regard.
Brilliant. And as a woman entrepreneur in crypto, you have mentioned already your interest in supporting women in the space or as entrepreneurs, as someone who has actually built multiple ventures across continents. What's the biggest cultural or systemic barrier that you have faced as a Latina woman in fintech?
I don't think that it's limited to Latinas. Like, as you know, you are Latinas as well. We have some challenges related to what we usually call like the imposter syndrome on what we can do, what we cannot do, and the role of women and money and power. Because culturally, we are part of a generation that is still in between the women's getting into the workspace, getting high level of education, launching their companies, and a society that is not yet ready to see women who are strong and tap onto masculine energy to get things done as not threatening and or not being believed enough. So for me, first challenge was to convince myself that I have what it takes to build huge things, work on my growth mentality. And when I convinced myself, it was easier for me to convince others. But I have to face a lot of disbelief from people in the industry. When I was raising money, they didn't expect to see someone that looks like me, that, building a blockchain-based company, crypto company, or tech company of any kind. They would have expected me like launching a Pilates line or like, something related to beauty or things that are much more feminine, because there are no women practically in the Web3 industry, very, very few leading this type of companies. So they will not give me funding. They will say, you are doing everything right, you are super qualified, but come back to me when you have like $20 million in average recurring revenues monthly. So it was super challenging. And I think that we women need to work together more to get those that are in a position to lift from support, sponsorship, or investing on all of the above other women to just change not only the narrative, but the reality. Because a lot of people talk about, like, yes, I support women, but they support with words. And we don't need cheerleaders. We need investors. And this is one of the things that I have been very actively doing, both with Unicoin, democratizing the access to investment for people that were not investing in crypto, like making crypto palatable for normal people, not geeks, no coders, no traders. Not that coders and traders are not normal, but I say like the masses. And making it easy to understand. And also we launched the educational classes for the investors, women investors, Investors Academy. We launched as well entrepreneurship accelerators and initiatives through my other company, Unicorn Hunters, to support women from fundraising to growing their companies. Because at the end of the day, the idea of women, power, and money need to be brought together. And we need, as women, to take a big part of this. Women, we don't no longer cry, we make money. So we need to normalize this idea that it's okay and it's perfectly fine, and there is no reason why women will not lead and companies and build projects that are different from how men will build it. We build it perhaps in using different skill sets, but we get things done and the results are quite clear. So I think most importantly, answering this in a short way, believing in ourselves. That's key. And not being scared.
That's what I was going to ask you, maybe. What was your main advice, if you had the opportunity to give one main advice to those women who are doubting about their role in finance or who want to take control of their finance and get into crypto and entrepreneurship?
I'll advise them to get a mirror and to look at themselves, to forget about what they have been taught, because we all have been taught to be pretty, to smile. As they said in Mexico, calladita, calladita, que te ves más bonita, like be silent, that you look pretty when you don't speak. This is all story. It doesn't work like that. Women are prepared. They need to believe in themselves, their capabilities, and give themselves the chance to prove the world and to actually prove themselves what they inside of them have is the power to make change, the power to lead, and the power to make money as a sport and don't cry and actually build wealth. So it's inside of us. Like, women are naturally the CFO of their own households. We manage projects, we do it efficiently, we manage houses, and we can actually do this extraordinarily well. So I believe that that's the key. It starts with us, always.
Brilliant. Thank you so much, Silvina. Is there anything else you think we should add to this interview before we say goodbye?
No, I don't know. Perhaps how women are shifting into crypto. And in Mexico, there are some data that is very interesting on the number of women that are holding crypto. Is 34%. And it's growing fast, and how women are, crypto is the first barrier of entry for investment for women. Women are starting to invest, and crypto is the first entry point because it's easy and we can do it with little money. But perhaps if you want to do a story at another time, we can talk about that. But I think it's quite interesting because there is a massive wealth shift that is going to women, over $80 trillion of generational wealth from the baby boomers, because guys die off first. So women are getting the money. Women live 7 years more than men. So they are getting the money of the baby boomers. So this money, before being transferred to their kids, their children, are staying with women. So now there is and I spend a lot of time in Saudi Arabia and in Qatar and in Doha, we are seeing a huge amount of women that have a lot of money, and in many cases, they don't know what to do with it. So the fact that women are starting to become a massive force into the capital and investment market is something that is not being talked much, but it's real. And I'm not talking about $1 here, $1 there. It's $80 trillion in wealth generation transfer that it's going to fall in our hands. I hope it falls in our hands too. Hello. At least
Well,
1 trillion,
sure
like I can use that, but yeah. So I'm super optimistic, and I will put a lot of effort. And now, through the foundation, I can actually be expected to provide recommendations, because with this model, I will not be executing or anything. I will be available for my investors. But if my recommendation will be that education means a wall to get more people prepared to get into this wall of crypto. The crypto industry needs a cleanup, needs a better image, needs better communicators that, do right things to turn crypto into a force for good. That was something that I feel very strong about, because part of my dreams of Unicorn was to launch crypto for good, matching with crypto different causes like animal welfare, access to health, economic development for women, and for areas in which the access to wealth is not something that is accessible, like, in Africa, in human trafficking, something that for me is also very important in Southeast Asia, the amount of opportunity. And there is so much wealth in crypto that for me is absurd. Like, you have all this wealth, you are sitting on all of this. Why don't you use it as a force for change? Like, you can do matching of donations and allow people to get crypto, and instead of buying it from you, just pledge it to causes that can actually change the world. And the amount of wealth that is built here, is unprecedented. So I would like to drive this awareness, and also in a positive way put pressure on the industry to use crypto as a force for good. It will not make them poor, for sure, and it will really make a difference in the world. I think that's something that it will be like super nice to see happening.
Absolutely. It's probably the main reason why many of us are in this space and hoping to see, these very positive outcomes in the coming years. Thank you, Silvina. Muchas gracias for joining us today.
A ti. Feliz de haber compartido este espacio. Gracias por la oportunidad, Lore.
That was Silvina Moschini, and I am Lorena Nessi for CCN. Thank you for watching, and see you next time.